Hello there. So, who doesn't love a literary technique or device? Come on, I know you get giddy when you think about a metaphor, and maybe a bit overexcited when it comes to onomatopoeia, even though it's a hard word to spell. No? Okay, well perhaps I'm exaggerating a bit, but knowing your similes from your sibilants is really important. So, thanks for joining me again today. The main thing to remember here is that you don't need to have a tick list of techniques to use. Okay, so you might be desperate to write about alliteration, but if there isn't any, you're stuck. So you need to show that you understand techniques and devices, but you won't get marked for just identifying them. You need to think about why they're used and the effects they have on the reader or the audience. When you're looking at a text, whether it's fiction or non-fiction, it's important to consider what a writer has done to make you think in a certain way about a text. So, for example, have they used a rhetorical question to start off? Perhaps there's a triplet, or you might know it as the power of three or the rule of three. Maybe there's a series of emotive words being used to impact on you. The main idea here is to think about why something is being used and how it impacts on you, the reader. Let's have a look then at an example. Sarah's house is like a cave, dark and damp and quite dingy. She's lived there for years and absolutely refuses to consider moving. So, if you're writing about this and the effect it has on you, you might write something like, the writer describes Sarah's house as being like a cave, and a simile gives the impression it would be quite gloomy and miserable. The adjectives dark and damp and the alliteration gives the description a claustrophobic feel, which is reinforced by the repetition of the verb refuses, as this suggests that Sarah has no intention of leaving her house. At this stage then, it's time to move on to think about some other techniques and devices that you could use. You could write about similes, if you like, or sneakily slide your non-subtle way into something sibilant, or maybe use the most amazing, best, craziest word. Okay, so they're superlatives, but as I've said, you do not need to feature spot. It's about what language does and how it works and the impact it has. Now let's have a quick check to make sure you do understand some key terms and techniques. I'm going to read out a list of these and there'll be a pause in between each. And when it pauses, it's your job to define what I'm saying and write down an example too if you can. Okay, ready? Let's go. Simile. So, using like or as to compare. Her nose was like a sharp, jagged mountain. Metaphor. Writing figuratively, not literally, the house was a prison, such was the way it made Becca feel. Personification. Giving human features to something non-human, such as the tree whistled at Deborah, making her walk faster. Onomatopoeia. Words that represent the actual sound, such as the toaster went bang, then it fizzled to nothing. Sensory detail. Using the five senses to affect the reader, such as the clock's bell echoed through the night as the moon's eye stared down on the city streets. Word classes such as verbs, nouns, adverbs, adjectives. She suddenly shot up, knocking over her coffee. So you have thought about some techniques, defined these and given examples. Let's think now a bit more about how they work in context. Want to know what the city of Plano, Texas has to offer you? Well, you've come to the right place. In this article, we'll go over the biggest attractions that Plano has to offer so you can see just what Plano has in store for you. Without further ado, let's get into it. First up, places to eat, drink and party. Now, Plano has gained a reputation as a place for ambitious entrepreneurs and hard-working professionals, but being one of these doesn't mean you can't have a good time. The city of Plano has plenty of places where you can go to let your hair down and enjoy a night out. Whether that means a classy dinner, at an upscale restaurant, a couple of drinks with friends at a sports bar, or a night of dancing at a raucous nightclub. It's really up to you. Now, before we get started on looking at the effects of this piece of travel writing, I'll break down some of the points I want to talk to you about. Want to know what the city of Plano, Texas has to offer you? So here you have the rhetorical question, as well as the second person pronoun direct address, you. Biggest attractions, so here you have the superlative, biggest, followed by the plural noun, attractions. First up, places to eat, drink and party. In this part of the text, there's evidence of an informal tone alongside the triplet. Ambitious, hardworking, good, these are all different adjectives. So a typical question might be something like, how does the writer use language to inform you about Plano, Texas? So in the text, the writer starts with the rhetorical question alongside the direct address you to make it seem like the text is aimed specifically at that person. It gives a personal, focused impression. Its light-hearted and informal approach is reinforced through the consistent use of you as well as the exclamation marks. The superlative biggest, describing the noun attractions, is intended to make the reader want to find out what these are, and it implies they're really worth investigating. In paragraph 2, the triplet focusing on eat, drink and party gives the impression that there is plenty on offer, followed by positive adjectives which highlight how the city has something for everyone, therefore suggesting it's a really interesting place to visit. So by now, you should have a pretty good idea of techniques that you can use in your writing toolbox. Let's finish this session with a multiple choice to see how much you can remember. You will also find these on the downloadable worksheet with answers at the bottom. Now before I start, my key top tip here is that some questions have more than one answer, so please remember that. Number 1, which of these is onomatopoeic? Whack, ran or pop? Number 2, alliteration is just the repetition of letters at the start of words, true or false? Number 3, his house is huge, like a stately cathedral with rooms as big as football pitches, is a metaphor, imagery or simile? Number 4, rhetorical questions always require answers. Is that true or false? 5, which of these words are not adverbs? Quickly, fast, magnificent, angry, suddenly. Number 6, personification is a way of writing about a person or giving non-human objects human features. Is that true or false? 7, all non-fiction texts use facts and statistics. Is that true or false? Number 8, you're lovely and I really like you is a fact. Is that true or false? Number 9, eating, playing and socialising are key parts of life. Is that a triplet, a power of 3 or a rhyming couplet? And last but not least, emotive language aims to play on a reader's emotions. Is that true or false? Okay, so in the next session, you'll have more opportunities to write about language, so I'll see you there.